Good morning, Brandon. Welcome back to Interviews with Eleanor. Today, I have a very, very special guest who works on the new and improved steamship. Introducing Captain Carl.
Oh yes, thank you for having me.
Hello, Captain. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great.
Okay, let's start off by talking about what the steamship is and how it works. Could you explain that for us, Captain?
Oh yes, the steamship. It is a boat that is powered by a steam engine. There's a large basin filled with water. Once the coal is burned, this water will evaporate and turn into steam. The steam creates a lot of pressure and it will move into a large cylinder where a piston is located. This pressure pushes the piston up and down and moves gears that are connected to the piston. These gears will rotate and move the paddle wheel in that tower to power.
Ooh, thank you, Captain. Very interesting. Now, moving on. Who exactly invented the steamboat, and where was it first found?
There is not a single steamboat inventor. It was fully invented in the US, but the US borrowed many ideas from designers in Germany and all around Europe. Robert Fulton developed the first working steamboat. This first successful steamboat was called the Clermont, which was built in 1807. He's known as the father of the steamboat.
Okay. Why was the steamship initially created?
As the US was expanding further from the Atlantic coastline further into the west, there was a need for faster ship travel. Before steamboats, the common boats that were used were flatboats, keelboats, and barges. Steamboats were needed to cut down on prices of shipping goods to distant markets. Goods could travel faster, thus resulting in more commerce, and people could get to places faster.
Now, who normally uses the steamship, and how does the steamship benefit these people?
Well, people like myself who are in the commerce industry use these ships. I can trade goods at a much faster rate and receive more profit. I've heard that people involved in the slave trade use these boats along the US to deliver slaves from the Mississippi River all the way down to Louisiana. This is not only benefited slaveholders, but also the northern industries and the cotton industries in the South. Britain has the best ships in the world, and we are a world leader in the steamship production.
We'll be right back with Interviews with Eleanor.
Are you sad that your crops don't get to your house on time? Me too. Well, thanks to inventions like the steamship, you can get your crops on time and be happy.
Welcome back to Interviews with Eleanor. Now, Captain, what are the economic effects of the steamship?
Well, with the arrival of the steamship, different types of goods are now available in local markets. Farmers can sell their crops to people across the world that are even isolated without the crops spoiling. Being able to sell more crops increases economy in these locations, while older boats at the time could only travel down the Mississippi River. The steamboat can sail up and down the river system from Pennsylvania to Louisiana. Now, regions can specialize in crops and manufacture goods and earn a higher profit.
Does the steamship have any social effects on society?
Oh yes, the steamboat has a massive impact on the people, especially with farmers. Before, farmers could only produce enough crops for him and his family, but now farmers can produce large amounts of crops to feed more people. It also makes society's lives easier and more enjoyable because we don't have to worry about if our goods won't arrive on time or have enough food, or even spoil. However, the steamboat gave off a lot of pollution in the air people breathed in. The people that worked in the boiler room often grew sick and developed lung cancer.
Very, very true, Captain. So, talking about you, how is life on the steamship for you, and do you enjoy it?
Well, life on a steamship is brutal, especially if you are third class on a voyage. Mattresses are very thin and dirty, there's no privacy, and many restless nights because babies are crying. There's just no privacy. Water that is provided by the crew is unheated seawater. Gross. Fresh water is hard to come by on these ships. If you work in the coal room, labor is brutal, hot, and their lungs inhale an unhealthy amount of fumes from the burning coal. Personally, I enjoy being the captain of the boat, but working in the coal room is a lot of labor. Accommodations are not luxurious, and the pay is not great.
Alright, Captain, we're nearing the end of this interview, but I have one last question.
Alright.
So lastly, does the steamship produce any disadvantages?
Well, actually, yes. The steamships could occasionally explode if the pressure is too high in the boiler. Everyone on the boat has a chance of dying, whether you like it or not. This has never happened to me personally, because I'm just a great captain. But anything can happen. But I've heard through the grapevine that this occurs. lastly, fossil fuels are being used at a high rate and cause a lot of pollution.
Wow, very interesting, Captain. Alright folks, well that concludes this interview. Thank you so much, Captain Carr, for coming on my show.
Thanks for having me.
And I'll see you guys next time on Interviews with Eleanor.